Good evening. Welcome to the work session for the Board of Education for Battle Creek Public Schools. Today is Monday, May 12th, 2025. It is now 5:30 p.m. I would like to call the meeting to order. Will the secretary please call roll?
Ryan Hoagland Jackson, Janisha Norman,
Present.
Art McClinney, Dr. Alicia Johnson,
Here.
Nathan Graycheck,
Here.
Dr. Nicole Perry,
Present.
Charlie Fulbright.
Here. As a reminder, tonight's meeting is being interpreted into Spanish thanks to our partners from Voces Battle Creek. To listen in Spanish, please refer to the description on our YouTube live stream for the link. To our board members and other speakers, please remember to speak clearly and not too quickly so that our interpreters are able to keep up. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
President Fulbright.
Yes, Trustee Johnson?
I move to approve the agenda. Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Johnson, supported by Trustee Perry. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. The BCPS Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the community to express themselves on district matters. We have two opportunities tonight on our agenda for public comment. The Board of Education requests you fill out a public participation form with contact information. As you come to the microphone, please state your name. Each statement made by a speaker shall be limited to a 3-minute duration. If the speaker represents a group, the person will be given 5 minutes to speak. BCPS Board of Education will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. Public commenters will direct all comments to the Board of Education and not to staff or other participants. Do we have any public comment? No? Moving on to discussion. A, strategic planning update. Dr. Tammy Campbell.
Good evening, members of the board, members of the Battle Creek Public Schools team, and any members of the audience. I'm excited to share the newly minted strategic plan to walk you through the products of the plan, and then to also talk about recommendations for implementation, some next steps, so that the plan isn't just a document, but in fact drives the way our schools are working to accomplish the goals. I'm going to share screens now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want to remind the board, or when I came and visited you at the beginning of this process, I talked about a good strategic plan should mitigate issues related to misalignment. From folks feeling like there are too many initiatives, their left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, each school's working in silo, and ultimately there's a lack of focus. What's not on this slide, ultimately when this happens, you don't have strong academic achievement. And when you have outcomes where students are reading and doing math on grade level, you cannot accomplish that across all schools unless you have a coherent plan. And when you have a plan like this, you feel like you're all moving in the same direction. You're going to have a laser-like focus on what it is you're hoping to accomplish. You see cross-collaboration between your schools, and students are at the center of all of those goals. And I think you're going to see elements of this when we outline your new strategic plan. When you go through this process, you should increase coherency. And we laid out some guiding principles that I believe that we've modeled every step along the way. And that's that the work is done with the district. We don't do it for the district or to the district. That it had to be anchored in student or scholar voice. That it's driven by student-centered goals and equity-informed strategies, meaning we give students what they need. We design our schools so that students' needs are met. We use research and evidence-based practice, and Dr. Carter has been a champion for this all throughout the process and a partner on this work, especially as it relates to research and evidence-based practices. We also worked on a theory of action where we worked to think about what will the central office be doing to support school leaders, and as school leaders are supporting teachers, we're aligning those strategies. And in the practices document, which is the sort of inside part of the strategic plan, there's evidence that we are aligning to that theory of action. So I want to unveil parts of the strategic plan as a part, and then I'm going to show you the whole document. The first thing is a part of the strategic plan is called the collective voices section, where we outline how many people participated in your strategic planning process. 900 total participants, and you can see the number by survey respondents, the number of teams we had, the number of committee members, the number of students, and staff voices. All of these leaders, stakeholders came together and co-constructed all the products I'm about to share with you so that it was truly done with, not to or for. The first product that we created was the vision of the student experience. And if you remember, we talked about visioning in a student-centered way, not just using a generic statement like every student 21st century ready. We listened to students in every one of your schools. We took the themes from what the students had to say, and out of that is your new vision of the student experience. This is the heart of the strategic plan. The strategic plan should cause students to say this is their experience, no matter the school in your school district. So if you take a minute, and you've also seen this when we did our mission statement session as well. But this should be everywhere, all across your district, in classrooms, in schools. And this tells us on a daily basis, if students would say this is more their experience than not, we're accomplishing the goal of the strategic plan. We then took the vision and crafted core values. We said, if that vision is who we are, what core values must we lead with? In other words, what will be the behaviors of leaders who are really serious about that vision? And here are your 3 core values: academic excellence, community, and equity. I'm just letting you just scan products without reading them all for you, unless you tell me you need me to. Building upon those core values and the vision of the student experience, we convened a group of students and staff to craft your graduate profile. And here is what it looks like. I'm a critical thinker and a problem solver. I'm a creator and innovator. I'm a communicator. I embrace personal growth and well-being. I embrace collaboration. I believe when I shared this product with the board earlier, there was an interest to be clear about how we're going to actualize it. And in the practices document, we make mention of ways in which staff, teachers will utilize the profile of a graduate with students so that it's actualized. Board members, you gave us words and phrases to use in the new revised mission statement. And here is the new mission statement. You can see the alignment to the core values. You can also see how that vision of the student experience influenced the mission statement. And I want to share with you the goals, and I want to remind you why the goals are designed the way that they're designed. Battelle looked at high-performing districts all over the country. In districts that were high-performing, the schools had 3 or fewer goals that they were focused on, and the district had 5 or fewer large-scale initiatives. So that is the informing research around our design. So when we think about the goals that are in your strategic plan, there is this social emotional belonging part of the goals, and then there's the academic goals. Goal 1 is about the whole child, and your name for it is called positive school experience, building upon language you were already using. Your 3 academic goals, goal 2 is for the elementary schools. We generically refer to that as early learning. Your name for it is building foundations and achieving excellence. So that is the academic goal for all the elementaries. Goal 3, grade level competency. This is for your middle schools. Your name, grade level mastery for all. And goal 4 is for your high schools. It's a college and career is the generic name. Your name is career, college, and community ready. Again, using the language and the lexicon of the district. Next year in the fall, all schools will have 2 goals. Every school will have goal 1. That's the whole child part of this. That's the social emotional learning. If I'm in elementary school, I will have goal 1 and goal 2. Middle school, goal 1 and goal 3. High school, goal 1 and goal 4. And they will keep these goals over the period of 6 years. What adjusts or shifts will be the practices, the strategies that they're implementing in their schools. Excuse us if this is a little bit blurry. I'm just noticing this now, but you can see here your 4 goal areas. You can see the outcomes for each of the goals. 2 outcomes per goal area with the exception of goal area 4, and the performance targets. So for example, goal area 1, positive school experience. By the year 2031, you want 10 out of 10 students reporting a high sense of belonging, 8 out of 10 students attending school on time every day. These performance targets were set by your team based on current baseline data so that these are truly stretch goals, yet allow you to impact a very large number of students. So this is really going to be the driver for school improvement, these outcomes and performance targets. So the schools will be using school improvement with this framework, but the district office will have to engage in large-scale professional development, creation of structures to support these goals. And we call these district foundations. And again, no intention for you to read all of these unless you have a copy of the draft in front of you. We're still in the process right now of finalizing this with the graphic designer. But you can see we have 5 district foundations: student-centered teaching and learning, world-class facilities, inclusive and supportive cultures of excellence, authentic and meaningful partnerships for student success, and attracting and elevating top talent. Those are your 5 initiatives, foundations. And below the foundations are the actual initiatives that district staff will lead over the next 6 years in support of those 4 goal areas I just shared with you. Towards the end of the process, we had the core planning team generate 3 or 4 draft promise statements, which is a sort of tagline that goes on the cover of your new strategic plan. It's a branding feature. And the one that received the most votes is the one we're looking at: every student, every dream, every day. Holistically, your plan will be a hardcover, shinier document that looks like this. This is the cover, running from 2025 through 2031. Lots of pictures of your students, the table of contents, a message from the superintendent, and the collective voices structure, letting your community know that we had community-wide input and voice. the vision of the student experience, the new and revised mission statement and core values, the goal areas, the outcomes, and the performance targets by 2031, the foundations, which will drive the work of the central office, the profile of a graduate, and Dr. Carter, you're the first district to add this notes section in the back, which allows, I suspect, parents and anyone else to make notes and to think about how they are going to support their students or partner with the district. So this was a first to have that feature. And then the last page of your external facing strategic plan. What I will tell you is that there's an internal version we're right now cleaning up that has for every goal area practices, what the schools will actually do for each of the goal areas. And that will be an internal version once we are done with all of the revisions that have been requested and as we finish up with our graphic designer. I'm going to stop this point and open it up for questions or comments. Actually, I apologize. I've missed one slide. Let me go back, and then I will open it up. One more slide at the end. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. Next steps in terms of implementation. So again, you heard me reference that we're finalizing the internal version of your strategic plan that has these practices, about 6 to 8 practices per goal area, per outcome per goal area. The next steps also would be for the district team to align the current school improvement planning template so that it aligns to the goals, the new strategic plan goals. So what you were using previously for strategic planning needs to align to the current strategic plan goal structure. Before the 25-26 school year begins, pull principals and school teams together to tell them how this will work around the 2 goals, and just sort of letting them know how to use this new structure along with their school improvement efforts. I also recommend that districts pull school teams together at least 2 times a year to progress monitor. How are they moving in terms of making progress on their goals? They would be sharing data and metrics during that time. And the board would also be getting updates on progress of the 4 goals. The way I've seen that done is, for example, goal area 1, you might do that in November, goal area 2, February, you'd calendar times to actually do progress monitoring of the goals within your strategic plan. You probably do these things already, but these are some of the most important ones that I've seen schools utilize where their strategic plan is a living, breathing process and not just a document. Now I will stop.
Remember, this is a work session, so you guys can just ask questions or whatnot.
So I have a question, Dr. Tammy, related to the mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
So in there, it essentially is restating our vision and our core values, and it feels like it's just missing adding or giving some uniqueness about the true purpose of our district. So were there other statements that were considered or other things that we can look at beyond that one?
So the way that we did that was we took your words and phrases and the DLT took those words and did that work. And so I typically, again, once the group frames this up, we then go with what they came up with. Dr. Carter, do you remember any unique conversations that were had? Because we were relying on the DLT's drafting of that.
I would just say there were other versions, but this was the version that the staff, the children that were part of the process selected as a result of the input they received from everyone.
The mission statement is based on the 4 Right? I know there's been a lot of iterative processes, but the result of it is the vision and the core values. So that seems odd to me that those are just put together and say this is our mission statement. It's not adding anything really, it's just addition,
Well-
right? So that's what I feel like it's not adding anything, basically, to be restating something that's already in 2 other places.
Technically, you want things to align. You don't want them to be different. Let me pull this back up. The fact that I've seen them where they're so unique that they don't work in tandem with each other. And so the mission was, or the goal was, to look at your vision statement, and then based on the vision, to adjust your mission statement so it aligned. And so it's a shorter version, and the mission statement simply explains why the district exists. That's the purpose of it. And realistically, most people are going to be driven by that vision in your schools and those goals and outcomes. So at this point, we have drafted this up. I mean, certainly if the board wants to, once the plan is done, to look at it again, nothing stops you during the fall or whenever you'd like to say we want to look at it again. I'm not precluding that, but I do know that we took your words and phrases to come up with this draft. Your team did, the district leadership team did that.
Okay, I just think it was our words and phrases, it's a verbatim of the vision and core values, so I don't remember that.
When you said it's verbatim, I want to be sure I understand. Let me pull it up really quickly.
Yeah, if you look at the vision and then the core values, it's essentially those words repeated in the mission statement.
Let's see. So the way a mission statement is written, it says, why does the district exist? And you exist to see see the students, to challenge them, and to support your students so they can reach their infinite potential. And the way you're saying you're going to do that is through academic excellence, community, and equity. So these are the words that, now I'm going to go back to your vision. And you're saying you don't want to have it aligned to your vision statement?
I'm not saying that. I'm perfectly fine if they align. They're repeating it though. So there's a difference between alignment and repeating. So see, challenge, supported, I am student with information. All we did was take out the I am parts of it. And we're saying that is the mission. Your vision and mission should be complementary, not the same. So that's what I'm pushing on, that we have restated the vision. And then when you look at our core values, it has those 3 pieces: academic excellence, community, and equity. Those are the core values. And then we just say that's the core of what we do. So we're stating in 2 different portions of the vision and core values, we're just throwing it in the mission statement. It's the restatement. So I understand what a mission is, clear on that. I'm just saying that this mission is not adding anything, it's summarizing and repeating.
Dr. Carter, I'm going to defer to you on this one because it was,
that was the
team.
process that we were guided through to come up with that mission. We're bringing it to the board, and is there a way that you'd want to process forward? So,
Well, my question was there, where were the words? I don't believe that our words were exactly what the core and the vision are. I don't remember what that was, because that was months ago, but I know we collected that somehow. Where are those words at, and was there something else proposed? Because it seems like we just took the vision and the core. We literally did take the vision and the core, and we weren't in that work. So I don't know how our words would be the same as that.
So the way in which the process went was, here were the words that the board said. It was given over to a committee, and then that committee said, this is how we're going to put those words together in a mission that we believe we can follow. So I hear what you're saying, and so it wasn't like verbatim, we're taking all of those words, but this is what we hear are the most important from what the board said they wanted, what the schools and the leaders, and that's what they came up with. So yes, what we saw was consistency in those key terms that is just across all of it. And in my opinion, I felt like that was because that was what was most important to the individuals that were in the room. So I guess I'm just listening for what would be the next step for your, to make sure that you feel comfortable with the mission that's adopted moving
Seeing what our words were
Okay, so you want to,
from when we did that session. So we did it, I don't know how long ago, but we did submit words. And I'm just, again, I'm curious as to how they're the exact same as the vision and the core. Not to say that they should be inconsistent, but that just, the odds of that happening are very low. And you don't have to give them right this second. I'm just raising that as, that stood out to me as odd that our mission statement would be restating the vision and core. So that's it. That's all I have on that. That was my
Okay.
only question. Everything else looks great though.
Board members, do you understand how it will work for schools? Ultimately, a strategic plan should drive the schools now to be focusing on these new goals with these outcomes. And once the practices document is done, they will then, these are things that actually have to be implemented. It's not an option once those practices are published and the schools start to orient themselves to school improvement.
outside of the mission statement, are there anything else?
I know, well, for me, I was just gonna say that I wasn't part of the strategic plan implementation 6+ years ago, but I was really excited to see student voices, and I don't know if that happened last time or not, but I think that's a really nice nod to have students give their voices and be a part of the strategic plan. I also was excited to see that we didn't get scared and we used diversity, equity, and inclusion all throughout this presentation. So that really makes me smile that that we're not that we're keeping with what we believe in. So I'm glad that stayed in there.
Thank you. It's good feedback.
Any other board members? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you. Thanks, team.
Moving on to letter B, Dudley renaming. Dr. Carter.
Yes, so we have, as you know, we are looking to transition Dudley into an early learning center, and so the naming committee met. The names of those individuals are included in your packet, but after meeting with the individuals on the naming committee, they narrowed it down to 2. We sent out a recommendation to the staff at Dudley so that they could review and give their input, and they narrowed it down, which is also included in your packet. But the recommendation is that the Board of Education consider the following options as the new name of the program: Dudley Early Learning Center or Bearcat Early Learning Center. I will open it up for discussion about those 2 names.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did we get a definitive answer on the origin of the name Dudley?
Yes, it is named after a former teacher who lived in the community. But there's not much else available.
That's very helpful. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like named after someone that did some horrible things or something like that.
No. So there was consensus to keep, or to add that as 1, or change it to Bearcat. So it's Dudley Early Learning Center or Bearcat Early Learning Center, and the board will need to choose one of those. Today is just discussion. Thoughts?
I'm curious what staff, students, what's the perspective of?
So they presented, when we gave it to them, it was a 50-50 split almost, but 41% said Bearcat Early Learning Center and 58% Dudley Early Learning Center.
Did we get any feedback for why there was a preference for one or the other?
I was on the committee to meet with Trustee Norman and some community members, and one thing I brought up was, community. I'd asked community members, is there a really strong connection to the name Dudley? Because, like I said, we don't really know much about who this person was. I really pushed. I wanted to see the name changed to Bearcat to represent the entire district, and to kind of get the families into I'm a Bearcat family mindset from day one, so that we can hold on to them throughout the whole, whole scholarly career. That was part of my reasoning. I wanted to have it be representative of the entire district because it is representative for all possibly. So I wanted to really reinforce that they are our youngest Bearcats now.
Any other comments? Thank you. Moving on to C, CISD biennial election. So you'll see on your tables, the CISD board member election is coming up. And we do have 2 nominees, and we actually have 2 open spots. So you'll see there's 1 person from Marshall, Kenneth Pons, and 1 person from Union City, Jean Goodrich. Those are the only 2 people that are running for the CISD board for the 2 open spots. So you can look this over, we can discuss it. We won't actually vote tonight, we'll vote at our next meeting, but all the information is here. Did anyone have any questions on these 2 individuals or the CISD board?
I wonder if this is a typo. It says they work for staff Commonwealth.
Star.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay. We'll be voting on that in 2 weeks, or next week, actually. Moving on to reports and recommendations. A, Northwestern Academy Cafe table purchase. Michelle Morrissey.
Good evening. It's that time of the year for me. So with Northwestern turning into a K through 8 building, it's always been designed as a middle school. We need to have cafeteria tables for the lower K to 2. So that's what this recommendation is. We went out for bid, received a few. Holland Tables and Chairs is the one that came in with the pricing, and we're able to do the logo to go with the new visual and performing arts motif for the amount of $40,511.40, and that would come out of the food service excess fund budget.
These are like short lay tables for the
Yes,
people.
designed especially for the K to 2, so, because the tables currently there are designed more for the middle schoolers, so. So this would be on half of the cafeteria area.
Any questions? Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to B, food service contract amendments. Brenda DeMott. Good evening.
This recommendation is to increase our deposit that we have on fund with Chartwell's. In the past, it has been $190,000, and it hasn't been changed in quite some time. After speaking with Chartwell's, they have asked that we increase our amount by $160,000, which would put us equal to about 1 month's invoice that we get from Chartwell's. And that is something that they require that we do for any unforeseen things that may happen on their end. And if that's the case, then they have these funds on deposit to make sure that, yes, they can still purchase food and the different things that we need. These funds actually come out of the food service fund. And if it is, once we are done with Chartwell's, then the entire amount would be returned back to the district. It would not go to Chartwell's, it comes back to the district at $350,000. We already did our contract with them at the beginning of the school year, and then with the state of the economy and stuff, this has come up now. So that's why we're asking for this change in the contract. Questions?
It's pretty in line with typical business practices.
Yeah. Yep, just said state of the economy, we just need to make sure that if something does happen on their end, that they have funds to at least keep us going. Questions? Anything else? All right.
Thank you so much. Moving on to C, restructuring alternative high school school programming. Dr. Harvey.
Good evening. I bring to you a recommendation for restructuring the alternative high school, WK Kellogg Preparatory High School. In light of the fiscal constraints and the need for the district to consider budget reductions, I am recommending the restructuring of the alternative high school program through the consolidation of the WK Prep program with Battle Creek Central High School. This decision is driven by both the imperative to optimize our resources in face of enrollment and the responsibility to ensure that our students continue to have a high-quality, equitable education with a sustainable financial future. By co-locating an alternative pathway within Battle Creek Central Career Academies, we will also achieve significant fiscal and operational efficiencies. Students will continue to have a personalized learning environment tailored to their needs, flexible scheduling to support students balancing school with other responsibilities, a strong focus on credit recovery to help students graduate on time or even early, comprehensive wraparound supports including counseling, mentorship, and career guidance to support the social emotional development of post-secondary planning, and expansion of access to remote learning, providing students with greater flexibility to agency in their course selections. So I am recommending that the board approves this consolidation. Upon your approval, an implementation team will be driven by Battle Creek Central staff and WK Prep staff to co-design a smooth transition. What questions do you have?
I know that when we brought STEM over to the high school, there was concern about little ones being with older people. And I know the kids in the alternative high school are older, even older than high schoolers. So are we concerned about that?
That's not correct.
No, they're not. Okay. They're, what's the oldest person? Average age?
There are some that are a little bit older, but most are 9 through 12th graders.
Okay. So we're not concerned about that? Okay. Second question is, how much money is it saving us?
So Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, close to $1 million.
And what are you going to do with the teachers that exist there?
So what we have is a staffing plan to, I wrote that down. Some teachers will be transferred to other schools and other vacancies because we do have quite a bit long-term subs filling vacancies. So they will have those positions.
Are we going to still own the building? I wasn't sure. Are we still owning that?
Correct.
Okay.
And still operating the auditorium for revenue purposes.
So I heard you use the term Career Academy. So is this to be thought of as similar to like a track for the students?
A pathway.
Pathway.
A pathway program. And so just to be very clear, what is happening at WK Prep through the arena style will transfer to the high school.
Okay.
So we will still keep the smaller learning communities, the arena programming within a space within the high school.
Will this give them access to like shared extracurriculars or specials, electives?
So we've had initial conversations with Battle Creek Central High School administration teams, and what we're trying to co-design is specials for students who come to or through the alternative ed programming. So world language is one of those that is not an option in the current model at WK Prep unless it's online. But we're looking to co-design that with a teacher for push-in support.
Okay, so like expand options for them.
So to be clear, because I think there was some confusion in the community that Battle Creek Public was eliminating alternative education. So to be clear, we are not closing. You're not recommending closing it. You're saying transition.
Consolidating.
And so I have a few questions. One question is, when we created, I wasn't here when we created the alternative program. So the intent of it being in a separate site, are we still able to maintain the true spirit of having a separate space within the new building? And do we know where that will be?
So we've done some initial walkthroughs and we don't have for certain where that's going to be, but we also know the spirit of smaller learning communities. So we do have BC STEM operating in the high school and they are separate and apart from Central. We have the Freshman Academy that occupies the 3rd floor in Central. So we are looking to create the same cadence within this model.
Okay. And my other question is, so we have a full room, and I'm assuming that this is, and I just want to say to the community, like, I don't know, I think the rest of you would agree, we appreciate the feedback, right? I mean, because when we just talked about the strategic plan, and the goal is to do things, co-create, and have collaboration. So I appreciate the perspectives, even if we don't agree, right? Because I think the idea is when we have tough decisions to make, it's important that people feel like we are listening, we're considering the feedback, and that we can still have trusting relationships collaboratively, even if we don't end up with the same solution. So I just want to say thank you for showing up.
I'll also add to that
yes.
point. So when we went to talk to both staffs, it is an option to be a part of the implementation team. That's why a lot of details are not finalized, and it's not lack of planning, but it's wanting to have voice and inclusivity.
Thank you. So my next question in alignment with collaboration, right, and authentic collaboration and honesty. So I'm sure there'll be some comments later. I'm curious, is there, from what we know from the perspective of community and staff, is it, to me it's one of 3 things, or maybe a combination. One, have people been made aware of the gap, the financial challenge, right? So have we been transparent about the issue that we're facing, right? So you talked about having $1 million savings and just the larger issue and some of the ecosystem factors. 2, if we have made them aware, is there some skepticism about the gap, right? And have we had some honest conversations to help clear up any potential misunderstanding of why there's a skepticism about the financial gap? And then the third one is if people feel aware and they're not skeptical, they believe that the data is the data, then is there just a different idea about how we address the gap? And then how have we, co-created a solution for that particular issue?
I'm gonna defer
I
to
don't know how to answer that, actually.
Yeah.
So
I guess, what are we hearing from the community that's the problem, right? Is it that
So nobody wants change from this
Okay.
department up here, and Dr. Harvey can talk about how the people on this floor have been really struggling with the decisions that have to be made.
Right.
And so during listening tours, I have been very transparent about the financial pieces that we have to explore. Okay. Here's what our problem is, and the question that every single staff was put with was, what is the one thing you believe should be protected, because there have to be difficult decisions,
right.
And we took in that information, and then what is the one thing you can live without? And so a lot of people answer that question with 5 things that they want protected, but I've been very clear that we're not in that space anymore. We have a huge budget shortfall, and we have to consolidate services. I think we've had this conversation as a board about the fact that we have been kicking the can down the road around consolidation of programs, and we can't financially sustain 11 buildings in a 4,000 student enrollment. It's not possible, and continue to have high quality staff, right, through robust compensation packages. And so, yes, every department is making some significant shifts. This is one of the ways that we can stave off a $4 million deficit. So it was discussed at listening tours. Everybody has different ideas about how to handle it, but we also did this at leadership team, and all of that information and data was synthesized to determine what were the priorities. The priorities that came out of that discussion was, please make sure that we continue to have instructional coaches and behavior interventionists. Each of those programs alone cost the district $1.8 to $1.5 million. So that leaves us to today's discussion. Does that help?
Yes, and I'm curious if people, so what are the other solutions then that have been presented to this? So if folks know that we have some financial challenges, then what are some of the other ideas that have been shared about what we should do about that?
Most of the ideas would save us $10,000 to $15,000. That's the kind of feedback we've been receiving. I think it's hard to comprehend how you make a $4 million cut. That's a very difficult, right? The only way to do that requires some union conversations about increased class sizes. And I heard from the staff that that was not an option for them. So when we get to the level of $4 million, those kinds of decisions, the input that we were receiving was nickel and diming that wouldn't reach the level of consolidation needed in order for us to be financially sustainable. And even with a lot of these cuts, we will have to go through a second phase if we don't continue to modify our enrollment.
Thank you.
I have another question. How is this going to affect the graduation rate at WK? Do you see it helping it or making the same by putting those students back in that environment they were not successful in?
I don't necessarily think the location itself will impact the graduation rate. It's more or less being pure to the model of the arena supports that makes it smaller, personalized learning, and tracking the module of expectations that students are to do every day.
My question is, it's kind of been touched on, I think, but like, so we've heard about what this does. What is the alternative? Like, if we don't consolidate, we obviously have to find savings for that somewhere. What does $1 million savings somewhere else look like?
It
That's a
would
big
be
question.
the other supports that we have in schools that they have asked us to protect. Those would be the supports that we'd have to consider giving up. And those impact the entire district. And so that's the kind of decision.
How many students are affected by this consolidation, of WK?
Well, the on-site number is about 60. The overall FTE is where is Dr.
187.
187. I also want to make sure that as we're making this decision, it's clear that to operate two separate programs is not financially sustainable when you continue to also delete or decrease enrollment at the high school. There's no way you can run a high school with the number of staff they have at less than 1,000 students and then have another program over here with only 186. Those two programs can't exist with this kind of financial deficit. So what we're trying to do through this recommendation is maintain programming while being financially responsible. So where are the key parts of this program that have worked for children? And how do we keep that without trying to close an alternative program? Because most districts don't run them with only 4,000 students. But we have tried to come up with a creative and innovative way to sustain at least having programming for students who need flexible schedules without making a recommendation for full closure.
I'll say, I was on the board when we opened the BK Prep, and it was a huge excitement. We were all really excited about it, huge honor, very proud of that work, because it gave the kids, scholars, more opportunity to grow. I think that's what I'm trying to keep in my forefront, is that how can we best give the students opportunity to grow? The exciting part wasn't opening a different building, or reopening rather a building, it was having that program. So I think if that program is maintained, that's what's important to me. I think that's what's important to most people, is that the program is maintained for the students. And on that subject, do we have a medium or long-term plan yet for the non-auditorium part of the building?
So we want to maintain our the auditorium through rental.
Outside the auditorium, is there a plan for the rest of it?
Oh, so yes, we are looking at individuals who have come to us to rent space, and so we're in the process of signing a lease with the brass band of Battle Creek. They want some space at WK. We also have other entities that are looking, so we want to make sure that we still can get revenue from the building that actually makes it cost neutral. That's our goal. While we consider other options. I also want to go on record to say that this is an opportunity for us to reset, refocus, and reimagine our alternative programming to see if we can create something that is more financially sustainable. It is not in our best interest to make these changes. I think you started with, these are all hard decisions, and we have a responsibility to make sure that we go into the year with a balanced budget.
So what I'm hearing is that we're gonna keep it in the same format, just changing location. And then you're looking into effectiveness and how to enhance effectiveness after the stabilization happens.
Absolutely. This was my baby too, right? I'm the one who brought WK Prep over into a new programming, removed it from the high school. So to take it back to the high school was a very difficult decision. But it is the one decision that we have available to us in order to make this, make our budget whole right now. And create better outcomes, because we have to also be honest about the outcomes that we've been able to achieve over there that haven't met our expectations, and we want to make sure that in this transition we're also looking at how to make this a more impactful, effective return on the investment.
I'm on the side of that either. It's not like financial is very important and like
And academic outcomes.
also very, very important. Right.
Any other comments or questions? Thanks so much. Moving on to public comments. Heaven Lewis? Just 1 second.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Heaven Lewis, and I'm a student at WK Prep, and my experience at WK has been one of the best experiences I've ever had as far as schooling. I don't just say that just to say that. It has benefited me and others I've seen in many different ways, and I've honestly seen the way that the staff there get to know the students individually and help with different student accommodations. Of course, there's students who have different struggles and go through different things, but I noticed that the staff has really helped a lot of students to see that they aren't just another student transferred to another high school who's bad or has a bad reputation, sorry, or just any student who struggles a lot. The school have really helped students to see who they are as a person and get to know themselves better as a person and have a better learning experience. I do know that the way that WK is set up, it really helps a lot of students with their work schedules. Teen parents, it helps in a lot of different ways. Sorry. I think one of the biggest things that I've always taken from WK is reset, refocus, restart, and readjust, and never give up, because that's something that helps a lot. That's something that gets us through a lot of things. Without a high school diploma, you can't really get to college, and without college, you can't do anything else. So knowing that you have a second chance to succeed and knowing that you're seen as a person and that your accommodations are met is something that really means a lot to us. And this school isn't just any other school to us. There's a heart at this school, you know. So I'm sorry. I just know everybody at my school is very strong, and I don't think that is being put in different classrooms or a smaller space will help us at all, because we've already became really comfortable in the schedules that we have, and we can do better and we can succeed. But I think that not only would there be a little bit of confrontation, we feel closed up, not to mention that different students have different accommodations for what they may need as far as being around a lot of people, anxiety, different health issues or mental issues. I think that would really affect people in different ways. But overall, I know that we all really appreciate our staff and the kind of steps they take to help us in our everyday lives. So, thank you.
Dr. Pinnock? Hello,
Are
board.
you speaking for yourself or?
On behalf of BCEA, actually. So you all know me. I'm Dr. Anthony Pinnock. I'm the president of the Battle Creek Education Association. As the president of the Battle Creek Education Association, I do want to thank the community for passing an important bond last week to ensure that every student learns and every staff member works in a safe, modern, and welcoming environment, and that their trust in the district helped us do that and move forward. So thank the community for that first. I also would like to congratulate our very own Tamara Babcock, if you have not heard. She is our first grade teacher at Lemoore Park and a very proud BCEA member, and was just crowned Saturday night Mrs. Michigan 2025, and will be competing for Mrs. America in July. So let's congratulate Mrs. Babcock. With a platform on literacy and learning and supporting students and schools being the focus of a community, I know that she's going to serve us all well. And I'm proud to say that she's a member of the BCEA and a very good friend. But as you know, I also serve several other roles in this district. And as a teacher, I just want to say that I am actually very pleasantly surprised by the attendance today. And I definitely was not expecting to help get chairs or stand in the hallway. But it is nice to see a good turnout for good causes, and go on record and say I did none of this. I really didn't. And anybody can tell you, I actually told people, probably just watch it on YouTube. But I want to thank you all for the work you do, and I know it's not going to be an easy decision that you guys have to make. Thank you.
Shamika Mathis?
Hello everyone, my name is Shamika Mathis. I am part of WK's parent support team. Since I have placed my daughter Heaven Lewis, whom you just heard from, in WK, she has made so much great achievement that I did not think that she would make. This school and staff is wonderful, and I see that they push these students and they work so hard to get these kids to achieve. They set up trips, they have events for them. They give them awards just to show them how good that they are doing. They give these students something to look for. When you got a staff that's willing to give students awards for their achievements, my daughter take all of her awards and she stick them to her wall. That is great, and I tell her, baby, keep going. You can continue to just keep going. Stick with your staff. This is all these kids know. And we're talking about saving money and finances. What about saving our kids' future? What about their future and their hope? They want to graduate. They want to go to college. If we take that from them, what they got? All they have is us, and they look up to us. Give our students a chance. Give their staff a chance to continue helping these children to move forward in their future.
John Boyd?
Whoa. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Board, for allowing us some time this evening. I'm standing in a very difficult position. Just to interrupt me. Go ahead.
Are you speaking for yourself or for?
Oh, WK, and it's for myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need more time if it's for a group. That's why I was asking.
Well, I set my timer for 3 minutes. You know, I'm pretty. So I appreciate it.
Start you. Hold on.
Okay. I'm ready.
I'm giving you a full 3 minutes. You
Okay.
ready?
Thank you.
I'm gonna go once you talk.
Okay. I'm ready. Go. So thank you all so very much. Very, very difficult decision that we're facing this evening. I totally understand that. In my profession where I come from, I think about something I was thinking about Dr. J. I call her that. Y'all, everybody else can call her that. Think about, we have this thing, the saying, we teach the student and not the lesson. And what that means is that we make sure we make every effort to make sure the student is taken care of and not the things that adults are supposed to take care of. And so when I think about that, I'm just, as I was sitting there listening, and it was really good to be here, to hear everything that's going on in our district. I was thinking about all the time frames I'm hearing about everything else. And I'm thinking about, was this given the same kind of time frame? Because I know we have to make decisions. I live in the real world every single day. And I know that things this big, a lot of times need more time than maybe we give it. And I just have to say this, is that this almost seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, not right now, call me later, correct me if I'm wrong. Like this didn't happen overnight, but it seemed like this is happening overnight. And so as the student came up, and I'm like, man, she took my tears, I was gonna cry, but not gonna do that now. And I wanted to say thank you again for the time. I just want us to think about the impact on these students, because they have been moved and moved and moved, and now they seem like they found a home and they're being told they're gonna move again. That's gotta be tough. And so if there's anything else that can be done, or if we can slow the pace so that we can make different adjustments, if that's the case, maybe we can. If we can't, totally understand, but I just want to give that some consideration when we're making these tough decisions that, yes, have to be made because money is on the line. And I'm going to give y'all some seconds back. Thank you so very much for this.
Jalen Boyd?
He looked like me a little bit. All right. So, again, thank y'all for giving us this time. Appreciate y'all for even letting us be here. And I don't know nothing. I ain't got $1 million, so I can't speak to, you know what I mean? But this is what I want to say. Y'all spoke about keeping, and Dr. Carter said, keeping key components of WK Prep. I think the biggest component was being at WK. A lot of those students could not handle Central. A lot of those students had things that went on at Central that, because of that, they had to come there. The way that when they come in the door, every staff knows every kid's name, and if you don't, the principal will make sure, like, okay, well, you're finna do this because you need to know these kids' name. And so for them, it was intimate, and they knew when they got here, not only they gonna know my name, they gonna know what I got going on, and they may be able to show up to some of those things that I have going on outside of here. I know we can say that the same thing will happen at Central, but if we real with ourselves, it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna be greeted in the same way that they're greeted at WK. They're not gonna have that same safety feeling and feeling at home. And so I respect what you guys do because it is tough, But what I want to say, the biggest component to WK Prep was being able to go to WK and have that intimate relationship with those teachers who you know are going to know you and have time for you. Now, if it goes to Central and you know, I won't even speak towards that. I just know that going to that big place for a lot of these students is just not something that is comfortable for them, for most of them. And so without that intimate experience of, I know that they're going to know me, know my people, and have, if I have a question, they're going to get to me before the end of the day. You know what I mean? And so it's still students that I see. I worked there last year, so I'm here on behalf of WK by myself as well. And I still have a relationship with a lot of those students, some of them here today. And so I can say from experiencing myself, and I don't want to, I don't go to Central. It's been a while since I've been there, but I don't know that if this is switched to Battle Creek Central, they will have that same, okay, I can talk to him outside of here, or I can visit with them outside of here because I know that they know me. I'm not just a face or a kid that's walking into the thing. And so I believe that that intimate experience at WK was the biggest part. Yes, the arena was good. Yes, all those other things were good. But the biggest part was they know when they walk in there, they're getting called by their name, and the people there know them. They aren't just another face that's walking into the building. So I thank y'all for even giving us this time. If I had $1 million, I'd write you a check right now.
Randy Sweet.
All right. Since my kids found out that this was coming, they've been struggling. My daughter cannot function in a normal classroom setting. She cannot. Mr. Williams and the staff at WK, that is their focus. Their focus is to get the kids graduated, make them learn what they're supposed to be learning. They are not another seat in a big classroom. Oh, hey, pay attention to this, you gotta learn this. Go about your business. That's not WK. This is not fair to the kids. Did the kids have any say-so in any of this? Did you guys ask any of the students how WK affects them? What WK does for them? Because to me, what I hear is greed. You guys are pushing kids that may need a smaller setting into a wolf's den with no end. This is not fair to these students. You guys never know. This may be a student that is at WK. This may be their last chance. What else after this? If you guys close WK, what's left for that student that may not have no chance left? This is so unfair to these children. Kids that were at a public school that got kicked out, suspended, had nowhere else to go. WK took them in. But you guys are going to push them back into a school that they may have just got kicked out of. This is so unfair. And to hear that student speak and cry, my children are here. They need WK. Because without WK, my daughter's not going to succeed. She can't function in a big school. That's all I got.
Before we move on to new business, I just want to thank everyone who spoke at public comment. We really will think about everything you guys said, and we really appreciate you guys coming and speaking to us. New business, A, Zoom student data processing agreement. Fowler.
Oh, that's just
Oh, I'm sorry.
You.
I'll entertain a motion.
President Fulbright,
Yes,
I
Trustee Perry.
move that we will sign and accept the Zoom student data processing agreement in alignment with our strategic goals.
Support. It's been moved by Trustee Perry, supported by Trustee Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed say no. Motion passes. Moving on, I'll entertain a motion for the consideration of bond authorizing resolution.
President Fulmer.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm like trying to, I was gonna say it. I move that we approve the consideration of bond authorization resolution.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Grajak, supported by trustee Nordman. Any discussion?
I'm very excited that we are able to do this. Thanks for our community for supporting and allowing us to unlock those funds.
Absolutely.
Showed up.
Can we take a roll call vote, please?
Nathan Graycheck,
Yes.
Dr. Nicole Perry,
Yes.
Ryan Hoagland Jackson,
Yes.
Alicia Norman,
Yes.
Dr. Alicia Johnson,
Yes.
McClinney, Kylie Fulbright.
Yes. Motion passes. Superintendent comments.
Yes, first and foremost, of course, with that last resolution, I want to say thank you to the community for coming out and supporting Battle Creek Public Schools, because that bond passing really takes some of the burden off for even more reductions that would have been necessary in the district. So we're really proud of the work that has been done. I want to personally thank BCEA, who also did a lot of mailing, calling. They actually stepped up to the plate to support us getting the word out and getting out the vote. So thank you to everyone that was instrumental in that. I also had the opportunity to personally congratulate Miss Tamara Babcock, and we are very excited about her winning the Mrs. Michigan, which was just really exciting, because I know that she has been working really hard on that for a really long time. And so it's just really great to see that other people in the state have noticed how amazing one of our teachers is. So for our community, please know that there are lots of end-of-year celebrations over the next couple of weeks, to the point that I couldn't even begin to name them through a calendar. And so I want to make sure that the community recognizes and understands that each school has their own individual Facebook page. And so if you are wondering about those visits, please make sure you check out their Facebook page, and you will get some dates around that. This Wednesday is Declaration Day at the high school, and so please consider joining us, as many of our high schoolers in the 9th grade make their declaration around what pathway they will choose to enter into over the next couple of weeks. I just want to also say to our community members that showed up for WK Prep, we hear you, we see you, and we do recognize that this is a very difficult decision in this time, and we don't take this lightly. It is not something that just comes right up, and we want to make sure that as we listen to all of the things that are most important about the program, that those are the things that we replicate as we continue to seek opportunities for students to continue to be successful. We know that this isn't the gold standard of change. It is just one of those necessary things that must happen in light of our current financial situation. And this is not about the dollar. It's really about also the program and making it successful. I think I want to share some data around the fact that we have 73% of the students currently at WK are chronically absent. We have less than 100 students that attend there on a regular basis. And so this is not just a financial decision, and I want people to really understand that. This is also about ensuring that all students graduate on time, given that the current graduation rate is under 40%. So we know that this is a great program in some of the pieces of it, but we also know that we're not really meeting the needs as stated, which is the purpose of the program. And so we want to redesign, we want to recreate, and we want to make sure that we do deliver on the promise of a high quality education for students. So again, I appreciate, I hear, and I see everyone, and we're going to make sure that we design a program that continues to see students first. Thank you.
Board member comments.
Okay. I know we said, but we can't say thank you enough for the passing of that bond. I'm really grateful for all the support. I was taking notes in public comment, and you know, make it any type of, we're in a time right now. I think we just, at some point, right, we just are just real, right? Like, I think anybody who's been through a situation in your personal financial situation, you face having to make some tough decisions. And so I think I'd like to see us keep at the forefront, which I know, you talked about, Dr. Carter, is that we do our best to maybe present a plan, and if we need more time or what have you, but that we demonstrate that we have listened to the feedback by presenting a plan that addresses all the things that have been shared today. What I heard was we feel valued by the staff at WK, by our leaders at WK, that we don't feel we would get in a traditional school environment, and how do we maintain the concept of an alternative environment where we can still maintain some flexibility and not feel like we are a part of, right, the broader high school, because that was the purpose of having an alternative environment. And so I think we want to think about how we can maintain and restore trust with community as we think about the decisions that we have to make here. And then one other important point is, how can we include the students, address the needs, and just have some open and honest dialogue about the situation that we're in. So I just want to say thank you for sharing your thoughts. I really do appreciate that.
That's right. I did attend a decision day last week, and it was very exciting, and it was clear that all the work we've been doing with our community partners was on full display. Seeing kids take advantage of the Bear Kid Advantage, seeing so many kids go to trade schools as well, so it was very heartwarming. I also attended the STEM showcase, and I was really impressed by the 3D printing and the food science that they had in the cafeteria, which was excellent additions to the showcase. So was very proud of the work that students displayed last week. So. I was not able to attend the school STEM showcase because it was the same time as another event, so I was able to attend the Laps for the Lap Now event that Fremont International Academy had for Mr. Eddie Lapnow, who passed away unexpectedly and was the physical education teacher there. So it was a great time, lots of students, families out there running, raising money for his family, really showing the appreciation that we have for him and his impact as an educator in our district. So that was a great event. I was upset that I couldn't go to STEM also. I couldn't be two places at once, but I was happy that we were able to provide that support for Mr. Lapnow's family.
I did get to go to the BC STEM exhibition night and had a really great time. Had a lot of great foods. There were diet-specific recipes the students had made, some of which from the garden grown right there on site, which is super cool. All the other experiences, showcases, and just kudos to BC STEM Innovation Center. I also say again, like everyone has, thanks so much to the community for the vote. I know there's a lot of misinformation floating around out there, so I'm really glad that people showed up and we got what we needed for our students. And finally, obviously, one of the big things tonight about the alternative ed program. Like I said before, I helped that through before opening the building, and I really loved hearing the testimonials about how great it's been. I really hope we can recapture that and hold that as much as possible. And I do agree we need to make sure we have students involved in that process as much as possible. And I guess I'll just share a little. It seems weird that I'm one of the oldest serving board members. I don't know how that happened because I feel like I was brand new. No, I'm not. But I was on the board when we closed Fremont and closed Coburn. It seems like a lifetime ago, right? And it was extremely difficult. I mean, we were really hard meetings, really tough decisions. And I share this because we came out of it in a much better position and set us up with the fund balance that we have now, so that we ended up reopening Fremont. We opened the STEM Center. I mean, it's really great things happening since then. So I appreciate that we are able to get ahead of crises here as a district and make sure we're set up for the future. That's really what we want, make sure that the kids keep having this opportunity that they have now. So I'm saying it's not from any special knowledge, but I think we have a lot of hard cuts still ahead of us besides just this one. I just want us all, like, as a board, to be ready for that and keep our eye on the end goal of supporting kids long term.
Very briefly, on kind of a lighter note, I had the opportunity to go to the MASB Spring Institute a couple of weeks ago, learn how to be a more effective board member, and so that was a great experience. There were lots of great topics that I'm excited to.
So I will also say I attended the MASB Spring Institute with Trustee Nordman and Trustee Hoagland Jackson, and it was a great opportunity to network with other districts throughout the state and see what great things they're doing and how we can maybe utilize their experiences with our district. It was a great opportunity. Of course, continued learning is good for everyone, so I was excited that me and the other two trustees attended that. I also want to congratulate Trustee Perry and Trustee Grajek because we just had our Calhoun County Area School Board Association banquet dinner, and they each got the next level of continued education awards with our state. So congrats to you both, because that shows your dedication to our students and our district and higher learning. So thank you both for that. And that's all I got. Great things are happening in Battle Creek Public Schools. Meeting adjourned.